Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Read Step. I am your host, Isaiah Ruiz, and we have a lot to get into. We're going to talk about some things, and we're going to leave some other things for another video at a future time. But boy, oh boy, what a week one really slate it was for college football. I'm so excited it's back. We also have a huge trade in the NFL that took place. But first, we're going to get into college football, and we're going to start off with that game, Texas versus Ohio State. All right, so Texas versus Ohio State. It was exactly the kind of game that I thought it was going to be. The score wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a win, 28-24, Ohio State over Texas. But Ohio State did get the win. Texas got the loss. That's all that matters. Horns down, as you know on this channel. But no, both defenses, though, one of the biggest thing that I had said going into this game was Julian Sayin and Arch Manning were both going to struggle in this game because of the elite defenses that both Texas and Ohio State have. Julian Sayin finished the game 13 of 20, 126 passing yards, 1 touchdown with a 74.5 QBR. Arch Manning went 17 for 30, 170 yards with 1 touchdown and an interception with a QBR of 58. I believe I know for a fact going into the fourth quarter, Arch Manning hadn't even broken 100 yards passing. It was a really, really rough day for him. There were some throws that were just overthrown, some that were underthrown, some that really just were not very favorable for Arch Manning. He struggled a lot versus that defense of Ohio State. They got an interception on him, almost got 2 interceptions. One of the ball wasn't moving around on the floor, but really a great game. I personally thought it was a great game between both teams. I think both teams played best as they could, but again, I think Sayin and Arch Manning were the ones that did struggle, like I had mentioned. If you go back to some of the other episodes, I did say Julian Sayin, Arch Manning are still unproven. They're going into this season for the first time, basically just kind of really, really raw. I know Arch Manning has really, no pun intended, but I know he has raw talent, a little bit more for sure than Julian Sayin does. But I thought both of these quarterbacks are going to struggle. You have Caleb Downs on Ohio State. He's arguably the best defender in all of college football. Julian Sayin had to go up against Anthony Hill Jr. and Colin Simmons, who actually did give him a little bit of struggle today as far as getting pressure on him, as well as that entire defense from Texas. This was exactly the game that I thought it was going to be. I did, obviously, like I mentioned, anticipate a couple more touchdowns being happening for both teams, but I did think it was going to be very much so a defensive matchup. Both defenses were a lot more experienced and a lot better than I would say overall, especially at the quarterback position, than the offenses were for both of these teams. But shout out to Ohio State. They went out and they battled and they fought, and their defense just wanted it a little bit more than Texas's defense wanted it. Both defenses kept their quarterbacks in the game. Obviously, the final score was 14-7. So both defenses kept their quarterbacks in the game. I just think that Ohio State really ended up making obviously more of the plays when it mattered most, whether it be an interception or whether it be a forced turnover on downs. Bad throws that were forced upon Arch Manning. But overall, I personally thought it was a great game. I know there's a lot of people that probably don't think the game was very good. They were looking for something more high scoring, probably looking for a shootout. I don't blame you. Shootouts are always great. They're always entertaining to watch. But this week one matchup played out exactly how I thought it was going to go, and the better team won. And I went into this game saying Ohio State is still that team. They're still those dudes, and they're still going to be the ones, in my opinion, that are going to get back and go to the national championship game and go play Clemson. And we'll get to Clemson later because obviously if you're just watching this right now, Clemson did go win and fall short to LSU in their home opener against the LSU Tigers. But I do think this is exactly why I picked Ohio State. It's not because I understand that losing Judkins and Trevion Henderson and Will Howard and some other key pieces is huge. For any team, it's going to be a huge blow. But I thought, you know what? They got the defense that's coming back. They're going to be really strong. Obviously, you also lost Jack Sawyer. But the defense is still going to be strong. You have Caleb Downs leading that defense. At the end of the day, it's Ohio State. You got Ryan Day, arguably the best coach in college football right now. You have Jeremiah Smith, the best college football player in college football, who actually didn't even have a very good game himself, to be quite honest with you. Only 6 catches, 43 yards. But you have Jeremiah Smith, you have Carnell Tate, who ended up catching a couple really clutch key passes, and we'll get to those in a second. So I just feel like for what Ohio State lost, yes, they lost a lot. But you know what? Notre Dame lost a lot of their team from last year. Texas lost some of their players. Everybody loses players every single year. But I thought that Ohio State, you have Jeremiah Smith coming back, Carnell Tate, Julian Sayin. He's going to get finally his first start. As long as he plays well and as long as he does what he's supposed to do, he's going to go ahead and get better throughout the season. Now, at the same time, so is Arch Manning. But Julian Sayin, he's going to get better. And that defense, despite losing Jack Sawyer and a couple other players, they still have an elite defense, and they still have Caleb Downs, number 2 on the field. And anytime you have number 2 on the field and the red and silver for the Ohio State Buckeyes, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. So, I mean, you can make the argument that Texas does, at the end of the day, have more talent on paper. I just feel like Ohio State, still have that experience with some of the most important players at their position, and you have a young quarterback coming in, and Julian Sayin, who definitely outplayed Arch Manning today. He was not perfect by any means. Neither of these quarterbacks were. But I do think that he outplayed Arch Manning. Now, getting to Texas, I went through the numbers for Arch Manning. Like I said, 170, 1 touchdown, an interception, and a 58 QB yard rating. He went 17 for 30. Wisner he did okay. He had 80 yards on the ground on 16 carries. But other than that, that's pretty much it. The receivers, they didn't do too much. Injuries, 4 catches, 50 yards, 0 touchdowns. Livingstone, 2 catches, 47 yards, and a touchdown. A lot of these receivers, Wingo, their star player, 2 catches, 35 yards. A lot of their like I said, all of these star players from both teams, both teams, they struggled a lot because of those opposing defenses. But I feel like what I saw from Texas, as much as their defense, like I said, for Ohio State, as much as Texas's defense kept Texas in the game for Ohio State, I personally felt like Arch Manning just did not make enough good throws. He looked very, I keep wanting to say raw, but that's the best way I could put it. It's his first time ever getting ready, prepping in the fall to get ready as to be the face of the program, to be the starter from week 1 and show everybody what he's got, show everybody that all the hype is not just hype, that he is the real deal and he should be the front runner for the Heisman Trophy. Well, today, unfortunately for him and Texas, he was not. They lose to Ohio State in Columbus. They lose 7-14. This was a hard-fought game, a hard-nosed game. And again, for people like me who play defense, who love defense, this is the type of game you kind of like. Would I have loved a shootout? I would have loved a shootout. All the hype being built. Julian Sayin kind of coming out of nowhere, finally making his mark as somebody who was highly recruited out of high school. Arch Manning doing his thing, proving why the hype was real. You know, Wingo doing his thing, Wisner, and Jeremiah Smith going out and doing some crazy I would have loved all of that, but I think it was just the fact of the matter is there's a lot of inexperience at the quarterback position for both of these teams. It was very, very evident for Arch Manning and Julian Sayin. But Julian Sayin I personally think, did better in game-wise and making adjustments and making slightly better throws in more clutch situations than Arch Manning. And it's just the truth. It's what happened. It's the truth. And he went out and, credit to him. He did what he was supposed to do. He made the plays when he needed to. And they come out on top 14-7. Ohio State takes down Texas, just like how I predicted, even though the score was a little bit off. Now, one of the other things that I wanted to talk about, my Oklahoma Sooners. I mean, now, mind you, I'm not going to talk too much about this because they did play Illinois State. But as far as Oklahoma, John Mateer did his thing, 30 for 37, 392 yards. 3 touchdowns. He had a pick, but 3 touchdowns. Ott did not play as well as people probably thought. It was Blaylock actually with 44 yards and a touchdown that went ahead and led in rushing. John Mateer, 7 carries, 24 yards. He had a touchdown on the ground. So he had 4 total touchdowns. Burks had a touchdown. Keontez Lewis had a couple touchdowns. 9 catches, 119 yards. I thought the offense was clicking on all cylinders, much like I expected this Oklahoma offense to do. And anybody that knows football, anybody that knows ball, especially college ball, You got Jaden Ogg transferring to Oklahoma. You have John Mateer transferring. Deion Burks coming off an injury that sat him out the majority of last season. This offense looked really explosive. And again, I understand that it's Illinois State, but they look really explosive. They look really dangerous. Their defense also looks like they're going to continue to do what they do best, which is really, just perform dominantly. And I was impressed. They had a couple sacks, and I was impressed by the Oklahoma Sooners today. It was exciting to finally be back watching them. It's my first school, to be honest. It means a little more because it's the first school that I've been a part of, been enrolled in, where the school that I go to also has a football team. They have a lot of great athletics. So being able to watch that and be a true fan, not just a fan who didn't go, but like a true fan, goes to the school there, everything. It was fun to watch. It was fun to see. I'm excited. They take on Michigan next week. I cannot wait to watch that game. College Game Day is going to Norman, Oklahoma to go check that game out. It's going to be a big game. I think Oklahoma is going to win that game. I'm going to say, and I'll have that in a prediction video later. I think Oklahoma wins that game 28 or 31 to 21-24 Michigan. I think I think Oklahoma goes into the Red River Shootout undefeated 5-0, giving Michigan their first loss of the season. Mateer is a much more experienced quarterback. I think they have better players on offense for sure, and I think they have the better defense as well. Now, moving on to another game I wanted to talk about, LSU versus Clemson. This was the primetime game of today, and truthfully, it lived up to it. The LSU Tigers go on and beat Clemson. I picked LSU to win. I just thought that they had better players, they had better receivers, but Clemson, in my opinion, has a better quarterback, even if he did go and struggle a little bit today. But nonetheless, it was a good game. It got really interesting at the end there as Clemson was driving to try to tie the game and send it into overtime. But I thought it was a fantastic game. Garrett Nussmeier went 28 for 38, 230 yards, and a touchdown. You have Caden Durham, 17 carries, 74 yards. He had a touchdown. Aaron Anderson led in receiving with 6 catches, 99 yards. But I thought overall, both teams played exceptionally well. And both teams played very physical. They played very to the point. Tackle football, smash mouth football. It was awesome to see. I just finished watching it not too long ago. I had some buddies over, watch the game, and it was fun. It was a fun primetime game. I love hearing Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit on the call. And this is the type of games that you anticipate being really, really good and anticipate being a dogfight, and that's exactly what this was. Clemson's not going to fall too far down the rankings. LSU is going to move up, and LSU will probably move up number 5 or 6, maybe a little bit more than that, but I'd say about 5 or 6 is where they're going to be ranked next time. Clemson's probably going to drop down to probably 7 or 8, or probably take that number 9 ranking where LSU came in today. But I thought both teams played really, really well. Clemson, I thought defensively played very well. They seem to have I like the way they were playing defense today. Both teams really. I think both teams played defense. Obviously, Harold Perkins Jr. making that game clinching. Really, we call it a quarterback rush, forcing Cade Klubnik to make a bad throw and end the game there. Both defenses played extremely well. Smash mouth football, very physical defense from both sides, like I mentioned. Both quarterbacks, though. Both quarterbacks literally threw for the same amount of yards, 230 yards. Cade, though, did have an interception. Nussmeier had the 1 touchdown pass. I think these two teams can definitely see each other again in the college football playoff. I wouldn't be surprised if they see each other again in a playoff game. That would be one hell of a story to see. But both teams lived up to their expectations, played each other really well, came down to a final, really one-possession game. Came down to a win by 7 points or fewer, in this case 7 points. But overall, I thought it was a great primetime game. I cannot wait to see more of these things and see more of these games as the year goes on. Clemson's still going to be an absolutely dangerous team. I still have them winning the ACC, and I do have LSU being a real contender for the SEC. And a big part of the reason going to our next game is because of Alabama versus Florida State, the upset of the week. and probably the best game of the week, unless you're an Alabama fan. Now, I will take accountability. I said Alabama was going to be a team that I have winning, a team that I either have winning the SEC or one of the teams to win it and possibly making the national championship. It doesn't look like it's going to be that as of right now. They lose to Florida State 17-31. Ty Simpson really struggled. I felt like, even though he was 23 for 43, 254 yards. He had a couple touchdowns, but his QBR was 48.6. Ryan Williams, I believe, if I remember correctly, he might have dropped a couple passes, but very disappointing on all fronts. Ryan Williams had 5 catches for 30 yards. Meanwhile, Jeremy Bernard, one of the other receivers, the other star receiver for that Alabama offense, 8 catches, 146 yards. But overall, they were just the best way that I can put this. And I try not to swear too much on this channel because I really don't need to. And I try to get it as family friendly as possible. But the best way if somebody asked me right now, how did that FSU Alabama game go, and how did FSU win 31-17? From a defensive standpoint, from Florida State, they went and knocked Alabama's dick in the dirt every time they were on defense. They were very physical. Hard-nosed, smash-mouth football. I think, apart from the fact that they outplayed Alabama clearly in every way possible, they remember being kicked out of the college football playoff a couple of years ago and Alabama going in instead and playing Michigan in the Rose Bowl for a chance for the national title. They remember that. Now, I will die on this hill. Alabama deserved to be in that 4th spot instead of Florida State, for sure. But Florida State remembered that today. And they went out and they absolutely dominated. Tommy Castellanos, he was only 9 for 14, 152 passing yards, but he did have 16 carries for 78 yards, which brings that total to over 200 yards total, and he did have a rushing touchdown. As a passer, obviously, nothing too crazy, but I think he made the plays, the right plays when he needed to make them. But with his feet, he was a playmaker. He did what he made the clutch plays when he needed to make the clutch plays, and he willed his team to a win along with that defense. Transfer over from Boston College, obviously, who used to give FSU some hell over the last couple of years. But he came in and showed out for his new teammates, his new coach, the program, Florida State. And this is a win that Florida State should celebrate. This is a team that I mentioned a couple of weeks ago. They seem to have almost fallen off. This is a great way to get back in that limelight as Florida State Seminoles. And this was an overall great team win for them. The receivers didn't do anything too crazy, but like I mentioned, 3 sacks for the defense, 7 tackles for loss, 57 total tackles. They definitely went out and did their thing. Now, obviously, some of this stuff you can't really see when you go to the box score. You can't really you read the box score, but if you saw the game, I saw the game, I watched the game. It was an exciting game. It was fun. There was a lot of critical 4th downs, 3rd downs. There was a lot of 4th and short, turnover on downs. I think that was the best game of the week. If I had to pick the game of the week, I think Alabama FSU was the game of the week. FSU comes out on top and gets the win. Castellanos gets really arguably the one, if not the one of the biggest wins of his career. Having Alabama come into Florida, it was a really rainy day, but that didn't matter. Florida State went out and dominated. Smash mouth, hard nose, just stick them to you, tackling football. They played like they remember, even though this isn't the team that got kicked out, they played like they remember exactly, and a lot of them did. Norvell, I guarantee, obviously does. They played like they remember what happened with that program when they felt like they got screwed out of getting into the college football playoff a couple years ago. So shout out to the Florida State Seminoles. Great team win. It's a great win for them. A great win for the ACC. Definitely boost them up to possibly go and be a threat to the Clemson Tigers and the Miami Hurricanes. But overall, that was a great win. Love what I saw. Man, college football is so back. I'm so happy to see it. It's awesome. You got fans rushing the field. You got upsets. You got teams dominating the way they're supposed to be dominating. You have Clemson. I'm so excited. By the way, tomorrow we got Notre Dame versus the Miami Hurricanes. I'm going to watch that game, and then I'm going to do another video. I'm just going to talk about that game. And then so the video will be a little bit shorter. But those are the games that I wanted to talk about regarding college football. I'm excited. I'm glad that we're finally here. We're back. Utah, by the way, is currently winning 23-7. They are going to do some. They're one of the teams that I mentioned from the Big 12 that could really make some noise this year. They're dominating the UCLA Bruins right now over in Pasadena at the Rose Bowl. Now I wanted to get into the Micah Parsons trade. Micah Parsons gets traded to the Green Bay Packers for Kenny Clark and 2 first-round picks. I think this is a great trade for the Green Bay Packers. I don't think it makes them Super Bowl contenders by any means or really NFC champions, but I do think that it definitely makes them divisional round ready. Or not ready. I think it could definitely they're a team that can go to the divisional round in the NFC. Very least wild card round. I think I was very, very shocked that Parsons was traded though. I had said if I had talked about it yet, one of the things that I was really shocked about. Usually Jerry Jones does this thing of if you had seen the quote from a few weeks ago, he had said, the Dallas Cowboys are a soap opera 365 days a year, and if they're not, then I'll stir it up to keep the media talking about us, which is an insane thing to say as an owner for a professional football team, dealing with professionals, dealing with adults, dealing with grown men with mortgages, families. It's a little disrespectful to say the least. And I thought he was doing all of this just to sign Micah Parsons this week, and he's playing week 1 again, because it's happened before, obviously. The fact that he traded him is absolutely just insane. Shout out to the Green Bay Packers and the fan base for getting an absolute stud in his prime, Micah Parsons, to add to that defense. Now, they gave up Kenny Clark, one of the better young defensive tackles in all of the NFL. But Micah Parsons is Micah Parsons. He's a guy that you don't find. They traded a couple of first-round draft picks, traded for a couple of first-round draft picks besides Kenny Clark. The Dallas Cowboys did. You don't find the Packers are going to be going to the playoffs every year, whether they win or lose, whatever the case may be. You're not going to find a Micah Parsons in the late first round. However, this is my thing. Before I go even deeper into the trade or how I feel about the trade or what I thought about the trade, for Cowboy fans, listen up. Your only saving grace, and I know you're mad right now, and I get it. Your only saving grace for this trade ended up going from a horrendous trade that's just absolutely buck wild to being an, oh my God, that trade ended up being one of the best trades ever, is turning those 2 first-round draft picks somehow into, obviously you could use those and go get, if you wanted to trade for one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL, one of the top 5 that we already know, I'm not even going to list them, or trading for a Jamar or Jay Jettas or whatever the case may be. But let's assume, obviously, those guys are probably untouchable. The only way that you can go and this trade ends up going from a really shitty trade to a really good trade is, in a way, kind of like the Dallas Mavericks. I think there's a little bit of a backdoor deal there, but shout out to the Dallas Mavericks for sending us, my Lakers, Luka Doncic. But the only way that this trade goes down and from a shitty trade to a really good trade, you turn those 2 first-round draft picks into Jeremiah Smith in a couple of years and Ryan Williams. I'm just saying that's probably your only saving grace. You're not going to get Arch Manning this year because I don't think the Cowboys are a bad enough team to end up in the number 1 team in the draft. But if you could turn those 2 draft picks into Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams, that could potentially make this trade right now a really good trade. I think if you could find a way to do that and do it like the Texans did, where they go back to back and you get Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams. And again, obviously, I think these 2 draft picks, I think it's 2026, 2027. I'm saying if you somehow find a way to get them the same year, to get both Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams in the same year, you get you a quarterback, a free agent, whatever you need to do, or you go and you get Jeremiah Smith and use that other first-round draft pick and you get a quarterback. Then either way, as long as Jeremiah Smith or Ryan Williams plus somebody else or each other is in the mix, I think that you can turn into a really, really good situation. But again, going back to how I feel about this trade right now, I think it's a really stupid trade to do. You don't trade Micah Parsons for a couple late first round draft picks as of right now, and Kenny Clark. It's you don't go, and on top of that, you trade him to a team that you've played numerous times in the playoffs. They trade him to somebody in the same conference as you. And on top of that, you go back and you double back if you're Jerry Jones and you're saying we wanted to stop the run. Like I get it. The Eagles ran through you guys all year last year, and you guys and just in general have been a sorry team for a long time. I'm not even sorry about it because I really don't like the Cowboys. But I don't think it's Micah Parsons that was your problem. What you should have done, sign Micah Parsons, trade, go do something, maybe get somebody an interior defensive lineman, whatever the case may be, and you do it that way. I don't think trading Micah Parsons was really. I just think it was idiotic and stupid. And again, I say that now. Maybe Micah Parsons goes to Green Bay and he falls off. Who knows? But what I do know is that right now he's at the prime of his career. You go and you sign Micah and you build on what the current. You have CeeDee Lamb. Presuming you didn't trade Micah, you have Micah. You have Dak, who's okay at best, or to a pretty decent quarterback in the NFL. You have a really good defense led by Micah Parsons. I think the Cowboys, to be quite honest with you, I always felt like they're a cursed team, but not the same type of curse like an LA Clippers or like the Padres or no. I say cursed because they've won championships, but it's been 30, almost 40, however many years it's been. It was before I was born. That's what I know. And the same guy that owns the team now is the same guy that owns the team then. The only problem with the Dallas Cowboys is that Jerry Jones is a senile imbecile who is very egotistical. And just quite honestly, if he doesn't run the team, then I just don't. To me, I don't get. I get frustrated. I'm not even a Cowboys fan. I don't even work for the Cowboys. I don't play for the Cowboys. But to me, it just doesn't make sense to why you would trade one of the top 5 players in all of football, or at minimum top 10 player in all of football, for a couple late round draft picks and Kenny Clark. And knowing Jerry Jones, by the way, the scenario I came up with, he probably won't trade those up to go get Jeremiah Smith or Ryan Williams or Arch Manning or any other good quarterback. You're not going to find anybody like Micah in the late first rounds. Kenny Clark, he's a really good player. He's going to help. He's going to help, I guess, in a way, help, as Jerry Jones said, as far as stopping the run. Kenny Clark will help you do that. But why not sign Micah? You re-sign him. You use you use your first round draft picks, Dallas Cowboys, that you guys have. Use a first or use a second and go get Kenny Clark. Go try to get somebody on the interior defensive line to help your defense. You do that, you get a Kenny Clark with Micah Parsons, and you have Diggs playing corner, and you have that defense playing the way it has been. You're going to stop the run. You're going to be a much better team. You have that offense. If you can figure out the running back position, that'll definitely boost you up. But it just, to me, the trade really didn't make any sense. It was definitely a bombshell. It was a Woj bomb, if you will, for anybody who remembers that. It was a Woj bomb in the NFL, a Schefter bomb, however you want to call it, a Rappaport bomb. And it was one of the most insane trades that I've seen in a very, very, very long time. One of the faces, not just of the Cowboys, but of the league in general. He's a very popular player. I literally got my dad a signed jersey of Micah Parsons 3 years ago, and now I don't hate that I got my dad. It's still a good gift, but man, I just I feel in a way for Cowboy fans because Jerry Jones is just running this organization into the ground, and I'm sure he knows it. Maybe he just doesn't care. Maybe he thinks he's just really that senile and doesn't know what he's doing, but he's clearly not doing it the right way. Maybe to him he is, because at the end of the day his pockets get fatter and fatter and fatter every single year. But that statement he made about writing a check just to win a Super Bowl, and he'd write a number people wouldn't. No, you would not. No, you would not. Now, as far as the Packers and some of my closing statements regarding this episode of the Read Step. The Green Bay Packers are going to be, at best, like I mentioned, a divisional round team. I think that defense, you already have Xavier McKinney. Kenny Clark is gone, but you got Micah Parsons to kind of, in a way, replace him. You have that linebacker. I keep forgetting his name. Their inside backer, number 7. I forget his name, but you got Rashawn Gary though on the other side of the edge. You got some good players on the defensive side for the Packers. Offensively, Christian Watson's hurt, but you just drafted Golden out of Texas. You have Jaden Reed, who's another really good weapon for the Green Bay Packers as well. Jordan Love is still going to be a good quarterback. Maybe not be elite, but he's going to be a good quarterback. And you have Josh Jacobs, and you also have Tucker Kraft as your tight end. So I think the Packers set themselves up very, very well. They're going to be a team in the NFC that's going to compete in the playoffs. Don't really see them as a threat yet, like I mentioned, but they will definitely compete. I think this this makes them a threat. Certainly at least a little bit to the Detroit Lions. I still got the Lions winning that division. I'm not going to go overboard here just because they traded for Micah Parsons. I still see the Detroit Lions winning that division. I think, though, that they go and they could sweep the Chicago Bears. I think they can go and possibly sweep the Minnesota Vikings. But they're going to be a solid team. And adding Micah Parsons is going to be they're going to be that much better. So shout out to the Green Bay Packers, Packer fans. I got family that are Packers fans. Dallas Cowboys, though, man, you guys are going to be struggling. I think as long as Jerry Jones is owning the team, I think that team is just going to be ran into the ground, as crazy as it is to say. Anyways, thank you guys so much for joining and viewing this episode of The Read Step. My name is Isaiah Ruiz. We're going to continue to do more episodes, like I mentioned. Tomorrow we're going to do Notre Dame versus Miami after that game is over. I'm going to give my reaction to that. I'm just excited for football season. We're finally back. We're finally talking about the NFL. Next week, I'm going to be talking more about the NFL because it's week 1 of the NFL. We're going to cover all of the big games. We're going to talk about my Steelers. We're going to talk about my Steelers. It's an exciting time to be back. I just love doing this. And I love talking to all of you guys, especially everybody who's supporting, family, friends back home, colleagues, coworkers, just everything. I'm super. I love doing this, and I can't wait to just do the next episode, to be quite honest with you. So, anyways, once again, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know some of your predictions for next week, whether it be college or the NFL. Let me know how you guys feel about certain things that I may have said. Maybe you guys agree, maybe you guys disagree. But other than that, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is The Read Step, and I am your host, Isaiah Ruiz. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.